Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak with you. You see, when we talk about educating ourselves every day, we're not just talking about cramming information into our minds. We're not just talking about filling notebooks or checking boxes on some academic checklist. No, we are talking about something far more serious, far more essential. The pursuit of truth, the pursuit of growth, the pursuit of wisdom that shapes not only what you know, but who you are. Every day you wake up is a new opportunity to either grow or wither. And here's the truth. There is no neutral ground. You are either becoming more wise, more compassionate, more disciplined, or you are drifting into stagnation. Growth doesn't happen by accident. Wisdom doesn't arrive uninvited. You must pursue it. You must chase it down like a man desperate for water in a desert. And you must do this not just for the sake of knowledge itself, but for the sake of your soul. Because who you are becoming is determined by what you expose yourself to, what you read, what you watch, what you ponder, what you listen to. Every book, every conversation, every moment of reflection is an ingredient in the recipe of your character. So ask yourself, what kind of person are you becoming? There's a kind of learning that simply puffs up the ego, makes us feel smarter, more important, more in the know. That's not the kind of education we need. No, we need the kind that humbles us, the kind that opens our eyes to how much we don't know, the kind that makes us better listeners, more careful thinkers, and more patient with others, the kind that strips away pride and replaces it with purpose. Too many people are content with where they are. They say, I've finished school, or I've learned enough to do my job, and they stop. But we were not made to coast. We were not created to grow for 20 years and then plateau for the next 50. No, we were created to learn and grow until the very end. Because the mind, just like the heart, just like the soul, is meant to be alive, and what is alive must grow. Every day you educate yourself, you are fighting against the decay of laziness. You are waging war against the lie that says you're good enough as you are. That's not humility, that's pride in disguise. The truly humble person is always learning, always growing, always saying, there's more I need to know, there's more I need to become. Some of you might think, but I'm not the academic type, or I don't have time to study. Listen to me. This isn't about having a degree. This isn't about being a scholar. This is about stewarding the mind and life that God has given you. It's about taking responsibility for your soul, for your calling, and for the impact you are meant to have in this world. You don't need to read 100 books a year, but you do need to be intentional. Read one good book slowly, and let it read you. Let it examine you. Let it expose you. Let it show you areas in your life where you are still immature, still selfish, still blind. That's what real education does. It doesn't just inform, it transforms. And don't limit yourself to books. Some of the greatest lessons you'll learn come through people, mentors, family, even strangers. Listen well, ask questions. Don't speak just to be heard. Speak to understand, and listen to grow. Every person you meet knows something you don't, and every moment of silence is a chance to absorb more than you say. Reflection is also a powerful teacher. Ask yourself at the end of each day, what did I learn today? If you can't answer that question, then you wasted a day. Not because you didn't finish a task, but because you didn't grow. A wasted day is a day where the heart remained unchanged and the mind remained untouched. Even in suffering, there is something to learn, especially in suffering. Some of the deepest education you will ever receive won't come from a book or a classroom, but from walking through fire and coming out refined. Trials teach us more than triumphs. Failure teaches more than success if we're humble enough to learn. But here's the danger. When you stop growing, you start dying. Not physically, perhaps not immediately, but spiritually, emotionally, intellectually. You begin to fade. You become dull. You start repeating the same patterns, the same mistakes. You start leaning on what you used to know rather than discovering what you still need to learn. Educating yourself every day is how you push back against that decline. It's how you remain sharp. It's how you stay alive. Because an active mind feeds a healthy heart, and a healthy heart is one that continues to love, continues to care, continues to serve. It's not just about being smart, it's about being useful. It's about being ready when others need you. It's about being wise when others are confused. It's about being calm when others panic. I'm not saying this to pressure you or to burden you with guilt. I'm saying this to call you into something higher, something richer, something nobler than scrolling through your phone for hours or numbing your mind with distraction. I'm calling you to life, to wakefulness, to intentional growth. Because every day is a gift and how you use it reveals what you truly value. Do you value your calling? Do you value your purpose? Then educate yourself. Feed your mind, sharpen your thoughts, reflect deeply, read wisely, listen humbly, and do it not just for you, but for your children, your community, your future. The mind is like a garden. If you do not tend it, weeds will grow, and those weeds, apathy, ignorance, arrogance, they do not need your permission. They only need your neglect. But when you water that garden every day with learning, with discipline, with truth, then fruit begins to grow, fruit that nourishes not just you, but everyone around you. So I urge you, don't go another day living off yesterday's knowledge. Don't go another week assuming you've already grown enough. Educate yourself not as an obligation, but as an act of worship, as an act of love, as an act of preparation for everything you were meant to do. Let your life be a testimony of growth, not comfort, a testimony of progress, not pride. Because when your mind is renewed daily, your life will follow. Every day is a classroom, every moment is a lesson, and the question is not whether you will be taught, but whether you will be teachable. Today, the title of my speech is Educate Yourself Every Day. We live in a world that never stands still. The pace of change today is faster than it has ever been in human history. Technology evolves overnight. Industries shift rapidly. What was common knowledge yesterday is outdated tomorrow. The skills you have now, the information you hold dear, the methods you rely on, none of them will remain sufficient if you refuse to grow with the times. This is why educating yourself every day isn't just a nice idea, it's a necessity. It's a survival skill in the truest sense. You see, many people underestimate how quickly the world moves, and that underestimation costs them dearly. They assume that once they finish school or training, they have made it. They believe that what they learned then will carry them through life. But that kind of thinking is dangerous. It's a slow decline into irrelevance. It's a quiet resignation to mediocrity. Let me ask you, have you ever tried to use an old skill in a new situation and found it doesn't work? Maybe you've tried to fix a problem with the same old tools, only to realize those tools no longer fit the task. That's the reality of life today. You cannot stand still and expect the world not to leave you behind. The truth is, every day the standards of excellence rise. Every day new ideas challenge old beliefs. Every day new technologies redefine what's possible. And if you are not learning, if you are not adapting, you will become irrelevant. Not because you lack value, but because the value you offer is outdated. The world requires fresh knowledge, fresh thinking, fresh solutions. But this isn't just about career or money. It's about how you engage with the world, how you participate in your community, how you relate to your family and friends. When you stay informed, you can offer wisdom in conversations that matter. You can understand and respond to the challenges others face. You can avoid being easily swayed by false information because you have a foundation of truth and understanding. I want to be clear. Educating yourself every day doesn't mean you must become an expert in everything or know every new trend as soon as it appears. That's impossible. But it means cultivating a mindset of curiosity and openness. It means being willing to step outside your comfort zone and learn what is necessary for the season of life you are in. It means recognizing that the knowledge that served you well yesterday might need to be replaced or refined today. Consider the rapidly changing nature of communication alone. A few decades ago, letters and landline phones were the primary ways people connected. Then came email, texting, social media, video calls. Now entire careers are built on platforms that didn't exist 10 years ago. If you refuse to learn about these changes, you would be cut off from conversations, from opportunities, from relationships. The same is true in countless other areas: business, science, art, even how we understand health and wellness. If you want to remain relevant, you must be intentional about learning what the world is teaching today. You must be willing to update your worldview, your skills, your habits. This means making learning a daily habit, not an occasional effort when it's convenient. It means setting aside time each day to read, listen, observe, or reflect. It means being proactive rather than reactive. This daily commitment to education is a form of humility. It acknowledges that no matter how much you know, there is always more to learn. It resists the temptation to think, "I'm done," or "I already know enough." Instead, it embraces the truth that the journey of learning is lifelong, and that journey keeps you sharp, relevant, and effective. Imagine for a moment what would happen if you stopped learning today. What would your life look like in 1 year, 5 years, 10 years? The reality is you would slowly lose ground. The skills that once made you valuable would grow rusty. The ideas that once made you wise would grow outdated. The confidence you once had would be replaced by uncertainty, and you would find yourself disconnected from your work, from your community, from the very world around you. But when you make daily education a priority, something powerful happens. You stay connected, you stay engaged, you remain a person others look to for insight and guidance. You become a lifelong learner, and that mindset opens doors you never even knew existed. You become adaptable, resilient, and ready for whatever challenges life throws your way. It also means that when new opportunities arise, you are prepared. You don't have to scramble or feel overwhelmed because you've been consistently building your knowledge and skills. You have been preparing yourself, step by step, day by day. That preparation is a form of wisdom that many neglect until it's too late. We also need to understand that relevance is not just about keeping up with the latest technology or trends. It's about staying rooted in truth while navigating a changing world. Sometimes the world's changes challenge our values, our faith, our conviction. Daily education gives us the tools to engage those challenges thoughtfully, not defensively. It helps us discern what to embrace and what to reject. To educate yourself every day means to be vigilant. It means to guard against ignorance and apathy. It means to refuse to become passive in a world that demands active participation. It means being ready to learn from anyone, anywhere, anytime. It means reading widely, listening carefully, and reflecting deeply. This commitment also inspires confidence, not arrogance, but a quiet assurance that comes from knowing you are prepared. You don't have to fear the unknown because you have equipped yourself with the tools to understand it. You don't have to dread change because you have learned how to adapt. You don't have to be overwhelmed by complexity because you have developed the habit of breaking things down and seeking clarity. Daily learning is in many ways an act of faith. It is believing that you are worth investing. It is believing that your life has purpose and meaning beyond the moment. It is believing that God has given you a mind to steward and a calling to fulfill, and that fulfilling that calling requires intentional effort every day. So how do you do this in practical terms? It starts with humility, acknowledging that you don't know everything and that you need help. It means seeking out trustworthy sources, books, mentors, teachers, podcasts, that will challenge you and help you grow. It means creating a daily rhythm, however small, where you set aside time to learn. And don't be discouraged if progress feels slow or if you struggle with discipline. Growth is rarely fast or easy, but it is steady and sure if you persevere. Every page you read, every conversation you engage in, every moment you spend reflecting is like a seed planted in good soil. Over time, those seeds bear fruit. Remember, the world may change rapidly, but the principles of learning and growth remain the same. The greatest leaders, thinkers, and servants throughout history have been lifelong learners. They understood that to lead well, to serve well, to live well, they had to keep growing. They had to keep educating themselves. If you want to be relevant not just for a season, but for a lifetime, then make the decision today to educate yourself every day. Embrace the challenge, accept the discipline, and enjoy the journey. Because the world is waiting for people like you, people who are informed, engaged, and ready to make a difference. There is something remarkable about knowledge. It gives you confidence, but not the kind of confidence that comes from arrogance or empty. It is a quiet, steady confidence rooted in truth, preparation, and understanding. When you educate yourself every day, you build a foundation that enables you to stand firm in the storms of life, to speak clearly when confusion reigns, and to act wisely when decisions must be made. Too often people confuse confidence with loudness or bravado. They think that being confident means never doubting or always having the loudest voice in the room. But true confidence is different. It comes from knowing your ground, knowing what you believe, why you believe it, and having the ability to explain and defend it with humility. When you have a habit of daily learning, you gain this kind of confidence. You start to understand the world better. And with that understanding comes clarity. You are no longer at the mercy of every new idea or every popular opinion. You have tools to measure and evaluate what you hear. You are equipped to separate truth from error, fact from fiction. Imagine how different your life would be if every time you faced a challenge, you felt calm and prepared instead of overwhelmed and anxious. Imagine how your relationships would change if you could listen deeply and respond wisely rather than reacting out of fear or ignorance. This kind of confidence doesn't just change your life, it changes the lives of those around you. But how do we build this confidence? It begins with humility, recognizing that there is so much we don't know. True learners admit their limitations. They do not pretend to have all the answers. Instead, they are eager to discover, to ask questions, to dig deeper. This humility opens the door to real growth and real confidence. As you educate yourself every day, you begin to replace uncertainty with understanding. You learn to think critically. You develop discernment. You start to recognize patterns and principles that guide wise decision-making. This process isn't always easy. It requires effort, patience, and perseverance. But the reward is worth it. When you are confident in your knowledge, you don't need to shout to be heard. Your words carry weight because they are grounded in truth. You become a person who others trust, who others turn to in times of doubt. And that trust is a precious gift. It is the result of years of intentional learning and growth. This confidence also guards against fear. Fear often comes from the unknown. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of making mistakes. But when you know what you believe and why you believe it, when you have spent time learning and preparing, fear loses its grip. You can face challenges with courage because you have confidence in your ability to navigate them. Consider the difference between a person who speaks out of ignorance and one who speaks out of knowledge. The ignorant person may speak loudly, but their words lack substance. The knowledgeable person speaks with clarity and conviction. Their confidence invites respect rather than resistance. This is the kind of confidence that changes conversations and changes lives. Daily education also builds confidence by broadening your perspective. When you learn about different cultures, ideas, and experiences, you develop empathy and understanding. This wider view allows you to engage more meaningfully with others, to find common ground, and to bridge divides. Confidence grounded in knowledge is never arrogant or dismissive. It is compassionate and wise. There will be times when you doubt yourself. Even the most educated and confident people face moments of uncertainty. But the difference is that those who have committed themselves to learning have tools to overcome doubt. They know how to seek answers, how to pray for wisdom, and how to lean on truths that never change. Education is not a magic pill that makes all your fears disappear, but it is a lamp that lights your path. It is a shield that protects you from confusion and deception. It is a sword that helps you cut through the noise and find clarity. When you hold this lamp, this shield, this sword every day, your confidence grows. Remember, confidence built on knowledge is not self-sufficiency. It acknowledges dependence on something greater, on wisdom that transcends human understanding. But it is also confidence in your own God-given ability to learn, to grow, and to act rightly. This balance of humility and assurance is the mark of true confidence. So make the commitment to educate yourself every day, not just for the sake of accumulating facts, but for the sake of building confidence that will carry you through life's challenges. Let your confidence be quiet but unshakable, humble but bold. Let it be a reflection of a mind and heart that are continually growing in truth. Because when knowledge and confidence come together, you become unstoppable, not because you are perfect, but because you are prepared. When we talk about educating yourself every day, many people immediately think they need to carve out hours and hours to dive deep into books, courses, or lectures. They imagine huge, overwhelming tasks, and the very idea can feel exhausting or impossible. But that's not the way growth works. Growth, real growth, is not about giant leaps every day. It's about small, consistent steps. Little pieces added together over time create something powerful, something unstoppable. Think about a mighty river. It didn't become great by a sudden flood. It became great drop by drop, moment by moment. The same is true for your learning and your growth. 15 minutes here, 20 minutes there, a single page, a brief conversation, a moment of reflection. All these small investments in yourself add up. They compound, and in time, they lead to profound transformation. The problem is, many people overlook the power of these small steps. They think if I can't do it all, there's no point in doing anything. That kind of thinking kills growth before it even begins. But you don't have to do it all at once. You don't have to be perfect. You only have to be consistent. Imagine what happens if you dedicate just 20 minutes a day to learning, reading a chapter, listening to a podcast, reflecting on what you've learned. Over a week, that's a couple of hours. Over a month, that's nearly a full day spent growing. Over a year, that's weeks of deliberate learning and growth. And what if you kept going year after year? The results would be staggering. Consistency also builds discipline, and discipline is the backbone of success. When you commit to learning a little every day, you develop a habit, and habits shape who you are. They shape your character. When learning becomes a habit, it no longer feels like a chore. It becomes part of your life, part of your identity. But small steps require intentionality. They require a decision every single day to choose growth over comfort, to choose education over distraction, to say today, I will invest in myself. It's easy to get caught up in the busyness of life and let days slip by without learning anything new. But those are the days that cost you later. And don't be discouraged if the progress feels slow. Growth is often invisible. You don't always see it day to day, but if you look back after a year, after 5 years, you will be amazed at how far you have come. Those small steps have carried you further than you ever imagined. One of the great advantages of small daily learning is that it keeps your mind engaged without overwhelming you. When you try to learn everything at once, you risk burnout and frustration. But small, manageable pieces of knowledge are easier to absorb and retain. They become part of you. Think about how a tree grows. It doesn't shoot up overnight. It sends down roots first, and those roots grow slowly but surely. Then the trunk thickens, branches spread, leaves unfurl. All of this takes time, but the result is strength and stability. Your daily learning is like watering the roots of your mind and soul, ensuring that you grow strong and steady. Another important part of small steps is that they allow you to build on what you already know. Each day, you add a little more understanding, a little more insight. These build on one another. Knowledge is like a ladder. You climb one rung at a time, but eventually you reach great heights. There's also the benefit of reducing overwhelm. When we look at the whole mountain of things we need to learn or change, it can feel impossible. But when we break it down into small daily actions, it becomes manageable. You can focus on the next right step without being paralyzed by the enormity of the task ahead. Don't underestimate the power of reflection in this process. Taking a few minutes each day to think about what you learned, how it applies to your life, and what you want to learn next is invaluable. It helps you internalize your growth and keeps you motivated to continue. This approach to learning also nurtures patience. We live in a world of instant gratification, but growth, real lasting growth, takes time. When you commit to daily education in small doses, you learn to trust the process. You learn that progress is steady, not instant, and that's okay. It's important to remember that learning is not just about accumulation of facts or information. It's about transformation. It's about becoming the person you were created to be. And transformation happens gradually, through consistent, small action. You become wiser, kinder, stronger, more capable, not by rushing, but by steady persistence. Many successful people, leaders, and thinkers will tell you that their achievements were not the result of sudden breakthroughs, but of daily dedication. They invested time little by little, day after day, year after year. Their greatness was built on the foundation of small steps taken faithfully. So what does this look like for you? It might be reading a single page of a book each morning. It might be listening to a short teaching while you commute. It might be journaling a thought or lesson before bed. It might be asking a question to someone wiser than you, or watching a brief documentary. Whatever it is, commit to it daily. Remember, it's not the size of the step that matters, but the direction. A small step forward is better than a giant leap backward, and taking no step at all leaves you where you are. The power lies in the steady, repeated action. The beauty of small steps is also in their accessibility. No matter your schedule, no matter your circumstances, you can find moments to learn. You don't have to wait for the perfect time or place. The time you have today is enough. The question is, will you use it? When you commit to these daily habits, over time, your life will reflect the investment. You will notice changes in your thinking, your decision-making, your relationships, and your peace of mind. You will become someone who pursues growth naturally, who values education as a way of life. And in the end, this kind of growth is what enables you to contribute more to the world around you. When you grow, you don't just benefit yourself, you benefit your family, your community, your workplace. Your small daily investments become the seeds of a larger impact. So don't wait for the perfect moment to start. Don't tell yourself you need more time, more energy, or more resources. Start where you are. Take the smallest step today, and then the next one tomorrow, and the next one after that. Trust that these small steps, faithfully taken, will lead you to places you never dreamed possible. Because when it comes to education and growth, small steps lead to big results. There is a profound truth in recognizing that educating yourself every day is not merely a task or an obligation, but a sacred responsibility. The world around us is filled with noise, distractions, and a constant barrage of information, much of it shallow, misleading, or even harmful. To navigate this chaos, to live with purpose and integrity, you must cultivate discernment, and that comes only through intentional, daily education. It is through this steady growth in wisdom and understanding that you guard your mind and heart from deception, and you keep your soul anchored in truth. You must understand that ignorance is not simply a lack of knowledge, it is a vulnerability. It opens the door to manipulation, to falsehoods dressed as truth,
to shallow thinking that leaves you vulnerable to the world's shifting values and fleeting trends. But education, done daily and with purpose, is a fortress. It is the shield that protects you from being tossed about by every wind of doctrine, every passing idea. When you commit to educating yourself each day, you strengthen your ability to recognize what is true, what is good, and what is worthy of your attention. This is especially important in times of moral confusion and cultural upheaval, when so many voices clamor to be heard. Without a well-informed mind and a disciplined heart, you risk being swept away by the tide of popular opinion, rather than standing firm on solid ground. The daily pursuit of knowledge sharpens your ability to discern not only facts, but motives, not only ideas, but the character behind them. This discernment is a spiritual weapon, a tool for living wisely in a world that often values convenience over conviction. Daily education also teaches you humility. It reminds you that the pursuit of wisdom is lifelong, and that you are always a learner, no matter how much you think you know. This humility guards against pride, which is often the root of deception, and keeps your heart open to correction and growth. When you understand that your knowledge is partial and your understanding incomplete, you become less susceptible to the lies that thrive in arrogance and closed minds. Moreover, educating yourself every day is an act of stewardship. You have been given a mind, a heart, and a calling. To neglect to cultivate these gifts is to waste what has been entrusted to you. Each day you spend growing in knowledge and discernment is a day you honor that stewardship. It is a day you prepare yourself to serve well, to love deeply, and to live courageously. And remember, discernment is not simply about saying no to error, it is also about saying yes to truth. When you educate yourself daily, you learn to recognize beauty, to appreciate wisdom, to embrace goodness. You develop a taste for what nourishes the soul and builds up the community. This positive discernment draws you closer to what is life-giving and away from what is destructive. It's also important to recognize that education is not a solitary journey. While much of learning is personal, the wisdom you gain becomes a resource for those around you. As you grow in discernment, you become a beacon of light in your community, someone who can help others see clearly, who can guide rather than mislead, who can stand firm when others falter. The commitment to daily education is therefore not just for your benefit but for the good of those you influence. In a world that often values speed over depth, entertainment over truth, and quantity over quality, your choice to educate yourself every day is a radical one. It is a refusal to be passive, a rejection of the shallows in favor of the depths. It is a commitment to live deliberately, to think carefully, and to act wisely. So let your daily education be fueled not just by curiosity, but by conviction. Let it be motivated, not by the desire to impress others, but by the desire to grow closer to what is true and good. Let it be a way of guarding your heart and mind, of sharpening your soul to serve well in every season of life.